Hello, Answers Now family and friends. Welcome to our latest edition of our Parent Support University, where we demystify all things ABA. I'm Adam Dreyfus. I'm the Chief Science Officer and one of the co-founders of Answers Now. What's Answers Now? Why am I listening to this guy? Well, Answers Now is an app or also a platform. You can access it through your computer that connects you directly to your own Bcba. What's a Bcba? Well, this guy's a Bcba. It means Board Certified Behavior Analyst. Means we are certified to practice behavior analysis, although states have their own kind of things going on. The main thing that we are known for is being expert in ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the most recommended intervention package for individuals diagnosed with autism to help increase good skills and decrease behaviors that are not working for them. And that's important to note. Behaviors that are not working for them, not necessarily for us, but for them, that are preventing them from doing things. The way I think of it is kind of making their world small. How do we make their world big, so they can do as many things as possible? So, yep, I am Adam Dreyfus, Chief Science Officer of Answers Now. You can learn a lot more about us at getanswersnow.com. Just go to the website, or you can go to the App Store and download our app. So there's lots of ways that you can learn about it. There's a lot of these videos. We've got a little YouTube channel now. I don't know if you notice all these pictures behind me. These are my son painted most of these, and he's a big fan of YouTube videos. And he was telling me the other day that I need more likes and more subscriptions. And he didn't know that I had a YouTube channel. So I showed it to him, the Answers Now channel. I didn't even think about it before, and it blew his little dome. He actually leaned over and he clicked it and he goes, "You got another like now, Dad." The world these kids are growing up in. So today we're going to be talking about time delay. Now this is one of those things that sounds like it makes a lot of sense, like time delay. Like, I understand time delay, but if I said to you, Mom or Dad or Uncle or Grandpa, hey, there's this really great intervention called time delay that can really help you out with your son or daughter, you'd be like, time delay? Sure. Well, what does that mean? Like, how does that work? So that's what we're going to unpack a little bit today. Just to remind everybody, what we're doing is we're going through all the evidence-based practices in this Parent Support University. Man, are we full of acronyms. BCBA, ABA, PSU. So NPDC, the National Professional Development Center. About 10 years or so ago, a series of universities came together and was like, listen, this is trying to be a parent of a child with autism is really overwhelming. And what makes it more overwhelming is there's just new information all the time. Here's a new drink. Here's a new book. Here's a new video. Here's a new thing. So they're like, what do we know works? Evidence-based practices, things that have been tested over and over and have been demonstrated to result in what it is that they say that they're going to result in. Usually in the case of autism, more language, better social skills, and reduced maladaptive behaviors. So usually one of those three things is what the evidence-based practice is pointed at. So we've gone through, 20-something of them so far. We're getting towards the end. We're at T, time delay. So we'll be talking about that. It is one of my favorite subjects, and I'm going to get a little out of my lane because what they mean by time delay is they mean like a prompting strategy, a strategy that you would use to help a child who is struggling to learn in the normal way, which is essentially just trial and error, right? Like most of us learned. You go into school, you take a test, you get some right, you get some wrong. They tell you the ones that you got wrong, you correct it. That's called a correction procedure. And so that's the way most of us learn. You get some right, you get some wrong. You learn which ones are right, you learn which ones are wrong, and you correct yourself as you go along. Unfortunately, a lot of our kids don't learn great like that, where you just sort of put them in a normal learning environment. They lack some of the core skills that neurotypical kids, lacks the wrong word. They have deficits in some of those skills. That makes it more of a challenge for them to just like learn in a classroom. We learned a long time ago, you can't just take a kid with autism, put them in a class full of typical kids, and they learn all that stuff. But we do know that you can take a typical kid, put them in a classroom, and they will learn all that stuff. So one of the techniques that has been developed over the last 30, 40 years is time delay. Time delay is, and I'm going to go through both sort of definitions of it. One is not so much the Adam definition, but a slightly different take on what we mean by time delay. and the other one is the very strict, like what does it mean as a prompting strategy, and that's how we're going to refer to it here for the most part. You can learn a lot more about this. So the National Professional Development Center has a website. You can go to it, and they actually have made these free modules. And it's one of the reasons that we chose this resource, because God knows we're spending enough money on all kinds of things as it is. It's nice to have some stuff that's free. So you can go to the website. They call them the Affirm modules, AFIRM, just like the regular Affirm word, just with one F. And they've got them there. It takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours to go through each one. So I think there's 24 or 25. So it can take you a while to go through all of them. And that's really, it's almost like the whole toolkit that a board-certified behavior analyst would use. And here's the rub, and this is why AnswersNow was really why we developed it, is that all this information's out there. And there's all kinds of parent trainings and stuff like that. And yet, Jeff and I, the other co-founder of AnswersNow, he worked at In-Home. I run a big school. We're like, even our parents who have access to really great staff, right? People who are either coming into your home and helping you out, or your kid gets to go to this great school that's run by people who really know what they're doing and they can get great gains. These parents, super stressed out, really overwhelmed, very isolated. And so we're like, how do we help this out? How do we help connect them? And so that's where AnswersNow came from. We want to kind of bend the curve a little bit, make parents feel a little bit less stressed out, a little less overwhelmed, feel like they got somebody in their pocket. Like, that's why I held up the phone, right? Like you had a Bcba in your pocket that you can text or video chat with when you're like, hey, why is my kid doing this? Or how can I get him talking more? Or I don't understand why he does this thing when we go to the park. Or I'm really afraid to take him to church. But every time we go to a restaurant, it's a disaster. We got you. We can help. So check us out, getanswersnow.com. Talking about time delay. So let's look at it from the way that the National Professional Development Center means it first. So it's a prompting strategy. So think of it like this. So I'm going to use some of my, for those of you who are familiar with, I almost said Paw Patrol. Yikes. Glad my kids aren't here. I'd be in trouble. PJ Masks. This is, of course, Owlette, one of the heroes of PJ Masks. Dun, 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 into the night to save the day. It's one of my favorite little go-tos. So say I'm trying to teach somebody that this is Owlette. So I would normally, like if it was a neurotypical kid, I'd say, hey, who is this? And they'd say, Batman. I'd say, no, that's not Batman. It's Owlette. And that is about as much correction procedure as most kids take. Oh, okay, it's not Batman, it's Owlette. And I might try it again. So, hey, what is this again? Owlette, that's right. Hey, nice work. That's what we call general case teaching, just the regular way that most people sort of learn things, trial and error. Now, time delay, you can either do a 0-second time delay, which means, man, this kid's really struggling to learn the name of this character. And I might have selected this character because they like the videos, they watch them a lot, they like the books. So it's nice to pick things that are very contextual for the kid, that are in their world and have meaning for them. So you have some motivation. So a 0-second time delay would look like this. Who's this Owlette? Right? No seconds to get the wrong answer. There's no opportunity for them to get the wrong answer. So this is also known. It's also known as errorless teaching. So there's no way for someone to make an error. So this would be 0-second time delay, right? So who is this? Owlette. Bang, right, like that. 1-second time delay is exactly what it sounds like. Who is this? Owlette. So you give them a little bit of an opportunity to get the answer or to give you an answer. But what you're trying to do is cut down on the errors, right? And cut down on the frustration. Because if you just keep doing it and they're not getting it, you're going to get more and more and more and more frustration. And this is where a lot of the sort of the behaviors come from, is that the kid is either being asked to do something they already know the answer to. So if I'm asking them, hey, who is this? And they're like, Owlette, bro. Like, you've asked me that 1,000 times. I know what Owlette is. Or they have no idea, or they just can't do it. And so both are very frustrating, and both, frankly, are a driver of so many of the behaviors that we see, especially in schools and instructional settings, is called the Goldilocks thing. It's either too hard or too easy. It's not just right. You want to find that sort of learning level where it's a little hard for them, but not too hard. So 0-second time delay, Who is this? Owlette. 1 second time delay. Who is this? Owlette. 2 second time delay. Who is this? Owlette. 3 second time delay. Who is this? Owlette. So usually you use those kind of in order, right? You try to play around with them a little bit. This is why just pointing you at the National Professional Development Center website and saying, hey, take the 1.5 hour module on time delay. It doesn't show you all of these things. So we're going to go to another one here. Our little friend, those of you who are familiar with PJ Masks know exactly who this is, Catboy. The second kind of time delay I want to talk about is giving them enough time, and this is pointed at you parents and grandparents and stuff. So what I just went through is kind of like the very clinical, structured way to use time delay. You'll see that in the in-home settings and clinic kind of based stuff. It's difficult for parents to really not grasp, but get good at without lots and lots of practice. And so this is where parent training comes in. This is like if somebody's doing this with your child, they should be showing you how to do it so you can replicate it when you're interacting with them. So here's another kind of time delay, same sort of idea. You want more language, you want more sort of interaction. So instead of having like a really set time in your head, another way of thinking of this is latency, right? Giving them enough time to answer. And I'll give you a perfect example of what I mean by this. I was working in a classroom in a small school, and they said, this kid doesn't talk, but he can listen really well, and but we're really working on language. I said, okay, well, that's great. Can you show me what that looks like? I said, yeah, absolutely. So they sat the kid down and they said, who is this? Who is this? This is Catboy. This is Catboy. It's Catboy. 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 It's Catboy. Who is this Catboy? I was like, okay, fair enough. Like that's good. You're interacting with him. You're engaging with him. But he was not responding. So I said, let me just try something here and see what we can do. So I built in a little time delay. I wanted to see maybe this kid just responds much slower than we're used to, because we're so used to just really somebody says something back. Somebody says something back. And a lot of our kids on the spectrum they need a little bit more time built in. So I actually had a ball, but we're going to do Catboy. I said to him, who is this? Catboy. The teachers freaked out. They're like, oh my gosh, you taught him how to talk. You're the kid whisperer. And I said, no, that's not what happened here. I said, this kid, and it's probably not exactly accurate, but a lot of kids have very specific sort of time delays, latencies between when you ask them something or expect an answer and how long it takes them to answer. His was roughly 7 seconds, which in conversational tones, like for you and me, is forever. So no one had ever waited. So it turned out he had quite a bit of language, but nobody's waiting 7 seconds for it. They just move on and he sees them move away, or they ask something else and it kind of resets. So those two things are what I would like you to kind of take out of this video. One is when you ask somebody on the spectrum a question, whether it's an adult or a child or whatever, and they're looking at you, right? Like you have attention and you feel pretty confident that they've kind of heard you. Wait. Be patient. Probably not going to be 7 seconds. The longest sort of latency that I think I've seen for a kid who would reliably answer if you waited was almost 20 seconds. And it was crazy to watch. Like, I'm not going to do it right now because it's just 20 seconds. You think, oh, it goes so fast. But waiting for a response for somebody for 20 seconds feels like ages. 7 seconds felt like ages. So two things. One, build in some delays of your own when you ask somebody. And keep it really short, right, what your questions are. We tend to talk too much. I'm totally guilty of that. And the other one is the time delay, like the as an evidence-based practice. It's a prompting strategy. It's a tool to try to from 0 second, right? The kid has it's an errorless moment. to 1 second to 2 seconds to 3 seconds, you generally don't see much beyond 3 seconds in terms of kind of prompting and giving them the answer. But I'm sure that there's exceptions to that. But for the most part, the protocols are around 0, 1, 2, 3 seconds. You select one that you think will result in the child learning faster. So there you have it. There's time delay as an evidence-based practice and as a sort of a conversational strategy for you to have. We thank you very much for taking some time to check out this video. Feel free to shoot us a note. Especially, I was thinking about this the other day. If there's a topic or something that you would like to know more information on. It doesn't have to be an evidence-based practice. It can be an article you read. It can be a show that you're watching and say, hey, I've got some questions about this. I might be a little nervous about asking. Guarantee you, a lot of people are probably thinking that same question. So we'd be happy to do that. Hopefully you and your family are staying safe. We highly recommend wearing masks and washing your hands and maintaining social distancing. And hopefully we'll be on the other side of this sooner rather than later because I know that the pressure on parents and caregivers of individuals with autism and a variety of disabilities is just brutal right now. All the routines are out the door. A lot of the supports are not there. So check us out, getanswersnow.com. We're here to help, and we hope you and your family are doing well.